the question of joining two. The Mishnah spoke about having an empty space of 3 tvachim in a sukkah, empty airspace of 3 tvachim. That will invalidate. That will separate the wall from the rest of the sukkah. That empty space of 3 tvachim. Then the Gemara spoke about how much non-kosher schach, would split the sukkah in half. So the Gemara says if you have 4 tvachim, right, 4 tvachim, which is around 12 to 16 inches, that would be the size that would split the sukkah. That would split the sukkah in half. A 3 tvachim space is the amount of empty airspace that would separate the wall from the rest of the part of the sukkah. So let's say you're left with 2 walls. If you began with 3 walls, you're left with 2 walls. Exactly. So that's the issue of empty airspace. But when it comes to not kosher schach, the Gemara says it was 4 tvachim of not kosher schach. If you have 4 tvachim of not kosher schach, that would split the sukkah in half. That means, let's say in the center of the sukkah, you have a piece of metal going in the center of the sukkah, and the piece of metal is 4 tvachim wide. Not a stick. 1 stick is not 4 tvachim wide. It's 4 tvachim wide. It's about 12 to 16 inches of metal going across the sukkah. So we say it splits this side from that side. So now you're just left with the 1.5 walls on this side and 1.5 walls on that side, right? But if the sukkah started with 3 walls, there's no wall in the back. Wall there, and a wall in the back. We've got 3 walls. It's like it's like a U. And then I split it in half. I'm left with only 2 walls. That's what the Gemara said. That's the opinion of the yeshiva of Rav. Rabbah said 4 tvachim of not kosher schach will not split a sukkah. You need 4 amos, 4 amot of not kosher, which is a big difference, which is more like about 7 feet wide, going across the whole sukkah to split the sukkah. So we need to have something like more like, like that, going across the whole set, and that will split the sukkah. And that was a disagreement in the Gemara. And then the Gemara brought up Rabbah says that if you have less than 4 amot of not kosher schach in the middle of the sukkah, let's say 3.9 not kosher schach in the middle of the sukkah, it doesn't split the sukkah. You can't sit under that spot, but as long as you have other areas of the sukkah which kosher schach, which total 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim, you're good. He says, what about if you have 3.9 not kosher schach in the center, and you have 2 tvachim of empty airspace adjacent to that not kosher schach? And now, if you add 3.9 and the 2 tvachim of empty airspace, you've gone, you have 4 plus. You have 4 amot plus now. Between the empty airspace and the not kosher schach, it equals at least 4 amot. Would we join the empty airspace to the 3.9 not kosher schach to make it that it reached the number 4 amot? What is it? I'm just using an example. Whatever, it's less than 3 tvachim of empty airspace. That's the main thing. Adjacent to it. Right, but because more in time, because if there's 3 tvachim empty airspace, 3 tvachim empty airspace would separate the sukkah. That's universal, and that there's no discussion about, because that's the Mishnah statement. The whole discussion is when it comes to not kosher schach, how much not kosher schach, how wide not kosher schach running across the whole sukkah would split the sukkah in half. So that's what we have. Rav, Yeshiva Rav says 4 tvachim. And Rabbah says 4 amot. And Rabbah said that according to his opinion, if you have a little less than 4 amot, not kosher schach, and right next to it you have empty airspace, they don't join together. You don't join them together. Why don't they join together? And therefore the sukkah is not split in half. And you still have your walls. Why don't they join together? Because he says these are they're totally different shurim. This one is 4 amot. This one is 3 tvachim. 4 amot for nakosh shach. 3 tvachim for airspace. They work differently. They're totally different. So they're totally different. You can't join one with the other, right? That's what Rabbah says. So to that, the Gemara challenged Rabbah's position, because you're telling me when items have a different size, they work differently. You can't join them in to a greater entity. I have a different case. When it comes to Tumah, they have a different size, and you do join them together. So that's going to be the Gemara's challenge to Rabbah. Because Rabbah said that the reason why he holds that you don't join these together is because they're different sizes, different halachot, and they don't work the same. Therefore, you can't join them together. So the Gemara challenge, I'll show you by Tumah, different sizes, and they do join together. What's the case by Tumah? The Gemara says that different types of garments, different types of material, heavier material, lighter material, basic normal garment material. Wool and linen is the basic normal garment material. Wool and linen, the size of wool and linen that's normal for people to sit on, to use as a mat, to sit on, is 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. Have like a little 9 to 12 inches. By 9 to 12 inches, that's the size. That's the size. That's when it comes to wool and linen. When it comes to other materials, some are 4 tvachim, some are 5 tvachim, some are 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim. Right, different material makes it whether people use it, how people use this material. It seems like that's how the people take a look. Let's take a look at that. That's how people. That was the common way. That was the size. Like you make certain materials. I would think because certain materials, people depending on how big the material was whether maybe a material that's more comfortable, you would be willing to make a mat out of it if it's a smaller size. If a material which is not as comfortable, you would only use it as a mat if it's a larger type of material. Because look what the Gemara says. The Gemara says we are on 17b 2, right? So 17b2 really it starts on the bottom of 17b1. The Gemara says the low shavi shirai la'adadi lo mitzarfi. In every place where 2 items have different sizes, they don't join together. But not, we learned in the Mishnah, habeged, a garment that's woven out of wool or linen, the common size that they use to sit on is 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. Now, hasak, which is made from the hair of a goat, which is heavier material, it's thicker. So that is a larger size. That is 4 tvachim by 4 tvachim. If it's less than 4 tvachim by 4 tvachim, it's not common that a person would sit on that. And if a person wouldn't sit on that, so it would not receive there's something called tumat midras. Right? Tumat midras is something, if the nida would sit on this item that's used for sitting on, or if a nida or a morning mass, or a zav, a man who has certain types of uh, discharges that are not normal discharges, or a zava, or a woman who has she has a period not in the normal times. There's these type of certain tumot that the Torah gave a stringency to the item that you sit on has the status of the person themselves. In general, we explained yesterday something called an av, the dad, something called the child. The source of the tumah, let's say, is the father, and let's say the nida, and when the nida touches something, that's usually a rishon that becomes a child. It has the status of a rishon. It's the first. There's the dad, the source, the nida, and there's a child, which is called the first. And a first level tumah called a rishon, its power to contaminate things is limited. It can't contaminate a person, can't contaminate a item, a utensil. It can contaminate food, contaminate drink. So a rishon does not have the same level of the source. However, there's a special halacha, the seat, the chair, the mat that the zav, the zava, the nida sits on has the same status as the nida, the zav, the zava. It also will be an avatuma. It will be as if it's the original. It has a status like the original. That is the novelty of the law, by when this type of person who's contaminated sits on this item, has the same status. Okay? So, but the Mishnah states it depends on what's the normal size of this item that they would sit on, they would use to sit. So we're saying if it's made out of material like wool and linen, if it's the size of 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, 9 to 12 inches by 9 to 12 inches, that's called a normal type of mat that people sit on, that people designate for sitting, and it would be subject to the tumah of madras. However, if it's made out of the hair of a goat, that is 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim. If it's made out of or, if it's made out of leather, that's 5 tefachim by 5 tefachim. It's a larger size. And if it's made out of mappas is a mat made out of reeds, so that will be 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim. Okay, so you got the different sizes. Now, Simon, we have to look more to address your question. Why is it that's the way they did it? But that's the way they used, they cut it. So that was the size used based on the material of the item, how thick the item was, how heavy the item was, is whether what the size was that they used for sitting. But even though they have different shiurim, with Tani Allah, we learned in a Braita that habeged v'hasak v'ha'or v'mapat mitzarfen zeh. Each of these materials, each level could join with the next level material. The 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim material, which is the wool and linen, could join the 4 tefach material. What does that mean? Let's say you have the type of material that requires 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim. Let's say you have a garment made of 3.5 tefachim of that material. So let's say 3.5 tefachim of that material. Let's say that's the goat's hair, right? So the goat's hair, 3.5 tefachim by 3.5 tefachim. It's not the size that they would use for a mat. But if you go ahead and you would join, if you take a piece of wool and linen that's a half a tefach, and you stitch it together to the 3.5 tefach goat's hair material, that will join. Now you got 4 tefachim. Now, why do they join? Because we see that the wool material is like the best. It's in a certain sense, it's the more expensive. It's the one that they would use at 3 tefachim. So if that material could join to create a tumah of 4 tefachim. because of its unique stringency, that you only need 3 tvachim to make this a garment that people use for sitting. So you could take a piece of this, and if you stitch it to the 3.5 tvachim of the goat's hair material, now you got 4. You wouldn't take the goat's material, a half a tefach of goat's hair, and join the 2.5 tvachim of wool and linen. Because wool and linen, you need more, it's a higher level garment, so you can't take material that's a lower level, which is a 4 tefach material, to make it a garment. But you can take the higher level material. Is that clear, everybody? The one they only need 3 tvachim to make it into a garment that people used to sit. Certainly, that could join to something that you need more of, to a 4 tefach item that needs 4 tvachim to join together. So so therefore you could take this. You need a minimum. Each material has a minimum. But the Gemara says if the second level material, in each case, going up the ladder, let's say you have the 3 tefach by 3 tvachim, means this material is the more choicest material for sitting, and therefore you only need 3 tvachim, or they already make it into a mat. But then there's other material that you have to have, but the goat's hair material, you need 4 tvachim. Well, to make it into a mat. That's not, they don't use less than 4. But you could join the material of the 3 tefach material to the 4 tefach material.
Correct, but you need to have 3 tefach material.
No, you could have 2 tefach of the chashuv, and 2 tefach of the one that's the next level, which is the goat's hair.
So what's the difference of combining A to B or B to A?
Oh, very good. Because B, if you to make it to combine B to A, to say that to reach 3 tvachim, to say that I have a 3 tefach material, when the second material, the goat's hair, is not as strong, is not a good enough material. So it's not the best quality material to join to. The highest quality material is A. A is a 3 tefach by 3 tefach. The B, we're going to label it A, B, C, D. The A is a 3 tefach material, B is a 4 tefach material, C is a 5 tefach, and D is a 6 tefach material. A, which is the best material, could join to create the size of B. If B is 4 tefach by 4 tefach, A could join B. You can't use B to join A, because A because we're so strict. But you want to say you have a combination. You have a combination. What you can't join B to A to create a 3 tefach.
Okay, why?
Why? Because
What's the difference is A is true, B is gone. We join B to A to B.
Because if you're doing A to B, but it has to reach 4 tvachim.
Okay, so
2 and 2. Okay. Correct.
I join A to B, it's kosher. But if I have
It's now ready. Now it's used as a mat. It's ready to accept contamination.
But if I use B
to A, right?
That's my intention.
Right. And how much you have? No, you're right. If you would do B to A, there'd be 4 tefach in total. There wouldn't be a question. It would receive contamination.
If it's 3 to 1, B is 3, and A is 1. If I combine them,
You got 4. Yes.
it's still good.
It will be contaminated. But you're combining a higher to a lower, because A is the higher meaning that it's stronger. I'm saying you're combining. We'll call the weaker. We'll call it the weaker material or the stronger material, the better material. The better. No, the weak. We're looking at weaker. The one that takes more to make it susceptible to contamination is called the weaker material. The stronger material, the one you only need a little bit of it to make it.
Correct.
So the stronger material is the 3 tefach material. Correct. It's the wool and linen. So if it only takes 3 tvachim of wool and linen to make it a size that people use as a mat to make a makabel tumba. So if that you need, The novelty is only 3 tvachim of that material. So you can't say, I got 3 tvachim of that material by using 2 of that material and 1 of the next level. Get it? But I could get to the next level, which is the lower level, meaning which takes more, 4 tefach. If I have 3 of the next level, plus 1 of the first level, that could join. Max, is that clear?
These are all. So I think it's, I mean, not false, but I don't.
How does it compare?
I don't even accept compare it because these are all things that are.
There are measurements.
The different measurements and sizes, but one of the things that was being argued was not even material, it was just airspace. So I just.
Look, is here.
Morning.
When it's applying to the star, they allow 3 tefach and not 4. And they just bring the material just to kind of balance it and show where they got this and why this is that. And so that's what they were not they were talking about the measurement. Here it's valid and here it's not.
Right. So that's what I think the point what Dr. Navid and Simon is saying is that you're right 100 at different cases. You're right. Maybe there's unique differences, but the Gemara's understanding that difference shouldn't make the difference because it's all about, Rabbah said, it's all about if it's different sizes don't mix, don't join. That's what Rabbah said. When you have different sizes, you can't join them together. And we see it's not true. That's the Gemara's question on Rabbah. We see, like Simon was saying, you have different sizes. You have, for this garment, it's 3. This garment is 4. Leather is this.
But there's only he's talking about amor, and this is tefach, okay? And all these cases are different sizes, but they're all tefach.
Right, but the Gemara's understanding, but that's not the strength of Rabbah's reasoning. Rabbah's reasoning is that if things are not similar measurements, items that have different measurements that don't join. That was his logic. He said you can't join. He didn't say you can't join airspace to not valid staff, because this is airspace, it's not the valid staff. That wasn't his reasoning. His reasoning is because since they're both coming from different sizes, that invalid, you need a different size for airspace, 3 tvachim. You need 4 amot for not kosher schach to split the sukkah in half. So when things are 2 different sizes, they don't join together. And to that, the Gemara is challenging, like Simon was saying. The Gemara is challenging. Look, I have clearly different sizes. If I want to make for a garment for leather to be considered the size of a garment that's used for sinning, it's a 5 tefach by 5 tvachim, and yet you could use a garment which is a totally different garment, just like airspace is different. It's a different garment, has a different size, and yet you could join them together. That's how the Gemara was seeing the comparison. So the Gemara answers the following. The Gemara says, and again, mapate, so level 1, so level 1, which is beged and hasak, beged will join with level 2. And level 2 will join with level 3. Hasak, va'ar, they will join together. And it would seem also the reason why we're joining level 1 and level 2 is also because there's certain similarities, that they're close to each other, meaning the type of materials are, it's just like each level is another level of different thickness, let's say. So you go, it would seem that you can only join level 1 to level 2, level 2 garment to level 3 garment, and level 3 to level 4. It doesn't seem that you could join level 1, even level 1 to level 4, even though it's a higher level. It's a very strict level 1. So it says, I mean, that would have to be looked at. You know what I'm saying? Would we join level 1 with level 4? Not clear, but for sure, level 1 is joined to level 2, level 2 to level 3, and level 3 to level 4. So we see that you do join totally different materials, different sizes. Now, so the Gemara says, so they bring down over here, there seems to be a discussion in the Rishonim. Does a garment that's level 1 only join to level 2 and not to level 3, level 4? The way we said, or, which Rashi seems to indicate. And the reason for that would be, it's not common to join materials that are totally different than each other, like level 1 material, level 4 material, and therefore it's not considered, you can't consider them one garment or one item that they're joined together when it's not normal to do it. That would be, and that would be, you're gonna say, I joined this with that. They don't, in essence, they're totally different types of garments that don't join together. So that's how some will understand that level 1 will not join with level 3 or level 4. Okay. So the Gemara answers, Hatam Kedetani time. The Gemara says you can't compare. You can't compare. Why can't you compare? Because there is a common, we do find that all these 4 garments have a similarity in size in a specific type of case. If you cut the material specifically for a certain size to use as a patch on a donkey, on a saddle, the patch on a saddle is 1 tefach by 1 tefach. Whether you made it out of leather, whether you made it out of goat skin, whether you made it out of wool and linen, any of those materials would be 1 tefach by 1 tefach, would be susceptible to the tumah, the contamination of the sitting of a nida or a zava or a zav. Therefore, because they have a history of having the same size in that case, therefore, they do join together. The reason, even though here they have separate sizes, when you have an average garment made from that material, not that it was cut for a patch, it was cut from that material, you need 3 tvachim of this, 4 tvachim of that, 5 tvachim of that. But since they have in common the same exact size when it comes to a patch, so that's why we could join material 1 to material 2, material 2 to material 3. But when something never has the same size, it's never the same size of airspace and not kosher schach, then you can't join airspace to schach. That's what
in general, let's say the person sits on a horse without sack under it. The animal doesn't.
animal would not come, right.
But the sack or
But the
whatever
stack
is
would
on
have the
it,
status of the need that would be
and how is it status of tumah?
it's tummy. It's coming just like the nidas. I would think it's like the nidas coming for 7 days. It would be, on a Torah level, should be coming for 7 days. Amar of Shimon, and then it has to go to the mikveh, whatever has to be done. Amar of Shimon, Matan. Why does it join together? Hoyol mitzdarfin, Matan. Hoyol royal tamim moshav. Because they could all contaminate become susceptible to the contamination of the sitting of the nida. Kedetnan hamakatseh mikulam tefach tefach. If you cut specifically one tefach from any of these materials, tamei. Tefach tefach mechazi. What does it fit for? One tefach by one tefach. It's very small, 3 to 4 inches by 3 to 4 inches. You can make it for a patch on the saddle of a chamor. And therefore, that's why they join together. Because they have a history of having the same size in at least one case. But when it comes to air and Succah, they don't have a history of ever having the same size, so you can't join them together. To be continued tomorrow, everybody. I want to wish everyone a great day. Thank you. No problem. Thank you for being